Hi everyone, this is Scott Weidenkivowitz, and I'm happy to share another photo critique with you. This one is from a photographer who sent this gorgeous landscape. This is a beautiful water scene, some rocks and sand and amazing clouds. And so I wanted to share what I would do a little different. Really, I love the photo. My only critique would be that here you're losing detail. There's you know, it's just black. And I'd love to see a little bit more of the rock up front because that's really right there in front of the camera. So before I get into this, it's worth noting that a critique is an opinion. The photographer did not do anything right or wrong, or I should say just anything wrong. It's right for the photographer. My opinion, my critique is just that. It's my opinion. What I have to say is not right or wrong either, and don't take it personally. It's just a matter of opinion. So here is the photographer shot as you are seeing. Here is the original photo. So what I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is open up the develop console inside of Lightroom. And before I do anything, I'm going to start with doing some color profile adjustment because if there was a lens distortion, it would correct it. The photographer already did it, and this is a JPEG, so it's not going to do it any further. But that's where I would start. I would do the enable profile corrections and remove chromatic aberration, and if it did not find it, I would do it manually as well. Would also level this if need be, and it, you know, I could level it, but I actually liked how it looked at that slight angle. It's a little bit of a downward angle. It's all preference, but for aesthetics, I'm going to stick with the level version. The next thing I do is, usually I start from the top down, but I go lens correction, and then I go to tone curve, and I start right away with a medium contrast. I want that slight tonal curve right here. Then I'm going to go up to the basic, and you can see here that the histogram is a little low, so I'm just going to drag that up, bring up, no, I'm not going to go with the histogram. Let's reset that. Instead, I'm just going to start with the overall exposure and just bring that up. And yes, the clouds are going to be, we're going to lose some of the clouds, but that's okay because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Now the exposure is a little bit better. We've got more of an overall mountain. There is still some clipping in the shadows over here, but that's okay. We're going to bring some of that back as well. So next thing I'll do is I'm going to bring in some of the shadows. There we go, or some shadows. And yes, there's still clipping. As you can see right here, there's still clipping, but that's okay. Then what I want to do is I'm actually going to take the graduated filter and I'm going to make that here and bring the exposure back down for the clouds because I want the clouds to be dramatic. So I'm going to bring the exposure down a little, bring up the contrast a little. I'm going to bring down the highlights a little to bring out that color pop, and then boost the clarity just slight so the colors have a little bit more dramatic 3D look to them. And right away, if I hide that now and go before and after, you can see it's a huge difference between the two, and that's very little adjustment. The sand and the water is still is lit nice. You can see the rock. This rock is still a little dark, but that's okay because this is the important one. The next thing I would do is I would actually take the brush and I would brush in. Let's show that. Hit the O key and show the mask. And I would actually take the brush and just paint in a mask over this rock. Now I'm not going to get perfect, but just let's hide that. And then what I would do is I'd bring out the shadows a little more, add more contrast and more clarity to that rock to make it pop a little bit more. Let's close the brush, and again, before and after, big difference between the two. Now if I wanted to, I could go in and I can adjust the blacks a little bit more because you can see there's some clipping. If I reduce that a little bit, we'll have less black clipping, but then you start to lose a little bit of that contrast, so we can bring it back, bring back the contrast if we wanted to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go down to the HSL, the hue, saturation, luminance, and I actually want to bring up, I'm going to click here, I'm going to bring up certain tones. So I want to bring up some orange in saturation, I want to bring up the sky, the cloud color. I actually want to grab the green over here and bring that up a little bit. It's actually some yellow and green, let's make sure it's here as well. And that also will help to boost some colors in certain spots and not the overall saturation. Again, before and after. The last thing I want to do for this photo is actually go down to split toning And I'm going to do something that's not something that everyone does, but I would actually go here and select a cool tint for the highlights. As you can see, that just got really cool. And then I'd click here for the shadows, and I'd go to a little bit of a warmer tint. Let's hide this. And now, if I slide this balance left and right, you'll see that the whole image just changes. And what I want to do is this sort of multi-tinting, this multi-color casting of the image, of the scene. So we can see here that the image right now is cool and warm at the same time. I'm going to go a little bit less on this. So here we go. So now you can see that the sky and the water are still cool, but the rocks and the sunset over here are warmer. So again, let's do before and after. So it's just a little bit different look. I'm not sure how dramatic I would get with it, but you get the idea. So here is a photo. Again, let's go back to this is the photographer's processing of it. And then here's one I just did before. So you can see here, again, neither are right or wrong. It's just a matter of opinion of which you prefer and your processing style. So these are the two. You're all going to pick which one you like better, but it's, again, just a matter of opinion. So your opinion will be different from everyone else's opinion. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned something from this. My only critique about the photo overall, the original, is the loss of shadow, loss of detail in the dark areas. It sometimes is a little bit too much, especially if you don't have one place of focus. So in here, yes, the rocks still are losing detail in the background, but not in the foreground. And that's more important if you're going to lose detail in the background. So thank you for watching this. I hope you learned something. Feel free to ask questions.